as we continue to battle the pandemic, questions on what we should do or should not do continue to be discussed. Now, we're talking about Nigeria here. Should we continue the lockdowns? Should we stop interstate travel? Are we testing enough people? Is there hope for a vaccine? So many questions and so many answers out there. Joining me live to discuss the Nigerian economy post-COVID-19 is an Economist Business Day, Dr. Nonso Obikili, who has written about this in Business Day today. Nonso, good morning and welcome to the Global Business Report. Glad to have you. My first question is, does the Nigerian economy have enough time to shapeshift and thrive in a post-COVID-19?
Well, time is a very fluid thing, right? Of course, it always helps to be a bit better prepared. But as it is now, we are not particularly very well prepared to compete in a global environment. If you think about things like infrastructure, where we are severely lacking, things like education, we are also severely lacking, then we're not in a prime position right now to compete immediately. But of course, all these are challenges that can be overcome. All these are things that can be tackled, put it that way. I don't think of it as a sense of do we have time, but more from the perspective of we have to start doing what we need to do now.
All right, great stuff. Now, one of the main points in your article is that you said, Nigeria has to find something else besides oil to produce and provide for the world, or another service to do for the world. You even said more than one something else, a number of something else's. What would those things be, or that thing be?
Well, I mean, if you think of the structural problem with the Nigerian economy over the last couple of decades, it's the reliance on oil, right? And every time there are hiccups in the oil industry, we see hiccups in the economy. And so just as a strategy, as we advise in finance, we need to diversify that portfolio, right? We need to diversify our export basket, to the goods and services, away from oil into some other things. Now, I don't think there's just one thing that we should do. I think we should be looking at anything possible, and we should be looking at doing as many things as we can for the rest of the world. What those things are, I don't know. But there is a generic advice we give in economics is that it's not really about the thing that you choose. It's about having the skills and capacity to grab what opportunities are out there. So it's not really about picking sector A, B, and C. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's about having the skill sets and the capacity to capture sector A, B, and C opportunities that are out there. So that's what we need to focus on. We need to start to think about, our economy from the perspective of engaging with the world. And we need to build up our population to be competitive enough. We need to have inflation to be competitive enough to compete with some of these opportunities that will be coming up in the next few decades.
All right, great. I'm glad you mentioned competing with the rest of the world. I'm glad. Key point there. In your article, you pushed against the notion that Nigeria should, quote, consume everything that we produce, or rather produce everything that we consume. Are you saying that we should be facing a reality where Nigeria's economy cannot produce everything that she wants to consume?
Well, let me try to explain it this way. If you think very simply about what wealth generation is, it's producing more than you consume and saving the rest in income-generating assets, hopefully. Right? That's very typically what wealth generation is. And so if you want to build wealth for the economy, then we have to think more than just producing what you consume. I mean, but if you want to produce what you consume, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not going to generate wealth. That's not going to generate long-term assets. That's not going to take the economy to the place we want it to be. If we want to get to the place we want to be, we have to produce more than we consume. And so the focus on, and it's important because the kind of policies that you implement, if you're focusing on producing what you consume, are very different than what you implement if you're trying to produce more than you consume. Trying to produce more, the question is, who can you sell the more to? What can you export? What kind of assets can you build to allow people to save their excess? And how do you really incentivize people to produce as much as they can in a sustainable way, of course? If you're trying to, produce what you consume, then the policy questions are now, how do you stop consuming things that you don't produce? And that's a very different question. I think as an economy, if we're focusing on wealth generation, we need to think about producing more, which systematically means we need to think about exports, we need to think about engaging with the rest of the world, and all that. And it's important because, look, we're always going to be in a world where some other people will have things that we want, right? we're always going to want iPhones or want services from Ghana or want products from China or want products from Italy. We're always going to want these things. We don't want to be in a world, at least I don't want to be in a world where we're isolated. I want to be in a world where we can engage with the rest of the world. But that engagement process has to work both ways. We have to give as much as we take, and we cannot expect that we'll just cut off that world relationship and just focus on ourselves. That's never going to happen.
Fantastic. All right. Now, I want to ask you about how this could possibly work with regards to the states. Would it be a model where the states don't rely much on the center and have more independence to do this, to produce what it is that needs to be exported to the rest of the world?
Well, that's a complicated question. I want to explain it properly. That's why we say states. I'm assuming you mean state governments.
Yes.
Now, when we say world generation, we're not talking about governments in particular. We're talking about people, right? Because the people come first. The people in state A, B, C come first. But now the governments have, an incentive. They need to have an incentive to create a kind of environment that allows people to thrive, right? And hopefully that means that they have to think about a government that depends on how much people produce in their particular states. And what that means is, yes, we need to think about the tax structure. As it is, we have this system where most things get funneled through Abuja and then distributed by some formula. So it really doesn't matter for each state how well people in your state do. So of course, we need to change that. But I think the focus needs to be not on how to get states to get revenue, how to get people in those states to get better off. Because it's the people that are important. The states are important too, but the people are more important. And so yes, we need tax structure changes, of course, to link the fortunes of the state governments to the fortunes of the businesses and the people in their states a bit more, just so that they have an incentive to do what needs to be done to make their states conducive for economic productivity. But the focus has to be on the people themselves, not really the state government, but the people themselves.
Okay, great. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. So you actually give an example using people. You used the Ekiti State, and you were talking about pivoting away from oil. You said, and you gave a scenario here. Of course, I have to emphasize that for our viewers, that this was a scenario. You could see Ekiti State earning $1 billion in USD in foreign exchange if about 40,000 of the Ekiti people working would earn about $25,000, each of them, $25,000 per year in earnings. But you said that it would take hard work. Are you referring to education and training? What kind of hard work to get to somewhere like that?
If you think about the Nigerian industrial policy environment over the last couple of decades, it's been based on force, right? We want to help industry A, so we'll close the border and force everybody to buy locally. We want to help industry B, and so we'll go and threaten companies that if they don't bring jobs, we'll deal with you some other way. That's been the focus of our industrial policy over the years, because we've been focused on our internal market, where the government has the power to make things happen, to kind of force people to act a certain way. But if we're thinking internationally, we're thinking globally, the national government does not have that kind of authority, right? The government cannot go to Ghana and say, you must sell to us or else. The government cannot go to Canada and say, you must employ our people or else. The government essentially has no power in international markets, which means in order to convince the international market that you are deserving or that they should bring their jobs, their investment activities to you, you have to be competitive. You have to demonstrate that you are as efficient or even more efficient than anybody else out there, that you are a better bet than anybody else out there. What does that mean in practice? Well, if you think of IT, for example, you need to have as fast connections to the rest of the world as anybody else in terms of internet speeds. Many states in Nigeria still don't have LTE service, for example. And so if you're competing with it's in India that has fiber optic cables lined up everywhere, then you're less competitive, right? You need to ensure that you have people, a population that is well educated and can grasp opportunities, because nobody's going to hire people who can't do the job just because they feel like, right? You need to be able to do the job. You need to have the required level of education to be able to do the job. And so that's the whole point, right? If you're competing in international markets, you have to have the skills required. You have to have the capacity. You have to have the know-how. You can't force your way to international markets. You have to rely on being competitive. And so that's going to be a different trajectory from the kind of policy that we've seen in Nigeria over the last years, which has focused mostly on forcing people to do something for a local market. That's what I mean by competitiveness. Now, what that means in practice, again, it's a very fluid thing, right? I want to emphasize that I'm not a prophet, so I don't exactly know what the future will look like. But we can see from examples elsewhere and from charts around the world, the thing that counts. One of the things that counts is education. People need to have the skills to do the job. That's the bottom line, right? Second thing that counts is infrastructure, because like I said, for ICT, if you need fast communications with your employer in Canada, for example, then you need fast communication with Canada. You cannot afford to have that kind of setup where people only have access to 2G internet. That won't work, right? Then you also need probably a credible legal environment that allows disputes to be settled. You need security, all kind of things. So I mean, the fundamentals are there, the fundamentals are known, but you actually need to do them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And just to add some color to what the scenario you gave, you were talking about remote work in a post-COVID-19 Nigeria, where those 40,000 workers in Ekiti were being employed by a foreign company. Yes, that was what the scenario you were touching on.
Yes. A couple of days ago, I was chatting with a friend who used to work in California, and she told me she had moved to Texas and was working remotely from there. And I think that was the background of the idea. And look, companies are understanding now that remote work is a very feasible thing, right? It's not something that is unheard of. And because of COVID-19, everybody has kind of been forced to work remotely. But if you can have a campus in Texas and work remotely in California, then why can't you have a campus in Ekiti and work remotely in California, right? It'll be much cheaper to have a campus in Ekiti because people in Ekiti will willingly work for a quarter of the pay of people in Texas, right? But to do that, you have to be competitive. You have to demonstrate that, look, there are potential savings from moving your campus to Ekiti or employing people in Ekiti, and you can still get the job done with the same level of quality and same level of reliability as you could elsewhere. And that's a win-win for both the company in California and the people in Ekiti, right? And so that was basically, that's just one example, but there are probably going to be 100 other special cases for this kind of remote work. But I think that's what the picture is going anyway.
Dr. Nonso Obikili, Chief Economist over at Business Day, thank you so much for discussing with us about what a post-COVID-19 Nigeria could look like and what we need to do to make that happen. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.